way through the Caribbean islands and on to Miami, a journey of 4,800 nautical miles. For PUMA Ocean Racing, powered by Berg, the leg to Brazil marked a return to form. On the back foot ever since losing their mast during leg one, PUMA was the only yacht to emerge from the South Seas unscathed, earning their first leg win and making them a contender once more. Leaving Brazil, PUMA made the best possible start on their mission to take back-to-back leg wins, leading the fleet out into open water.
Brazil has been very, very good to us. First one in, first one out. Really good start, great crew work. Of course, it's always good to go home. Got 20 knots of breeze, going 23 knots, and beautiful, beautiful day.
With current a major consideration, it was destined to be a leg full of tactical plays, and the first one came early. Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand and Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing opting for the potentially more risky inshore route, whilst Telefónica and Groupama headed offshore, leaving PUMA very much in the middle. But just when things looked set to pay off, Camper and Abu Dhabi's good fortune was about to change.
I have an important safety message for you. You're steaming towards danger. Please respond.
Yeah, go ahead, Ocean Explorer.
We are 6 miles straight ahead of you, and we are towing cables. We have 5 nautical miles of seismic cables behind us.
This is a seismic vessel with 8,000 metres of cable out the back on the surface. And these are 2 guard ships, so we're in conversation. Basically, if you don't get across their bow, they can't stop.
Really infuriating. We just spent hours trying to hold our height, trying to keep off the camper, and now here we are reaching back down exactly where we don't want to go. So it's going to cost us probably 5 miles, maybe more.
Groupama, meantime, were doing everything they could to get to the bottom of why they were lacking speed. The French boat now trailing by 120 miles. PUMA lead the fleet to Recife on the northeast corner of Brazil, but things were far from won.
We knew the breeze was going to crap out, which it did. So our 20-mile lead on Camper and our 30-mile lead on Telefónica evaporated to about 8 yesterday. I think was at its closest point. Still sailing the boat quite well. I think we're very competitive right now in these conditions.
North of the equator, the teams hit the doldrums, their 4th and final crossing, and once again the fleet begins to compress. Groupama and Abu Dhabi were in a 2-way battle of their own, but in danger of losing touch with the leaders, whilst Telefónica joined Camper in their quest to pile the pressure on the Americans.
The 3 boats could see each other, and we knew that could be the place where the winner of the leg might be decided. And from then on, all of the boats started taking tactical decisions, knowing that we were heading into a transitional area that would be very hard without much wind. That made the sailing very complicated for all of us.
PUMA were first boat in and, importantly, first boat out of the doldrums, and the pace increased as they picked up the trades. Behind them, though, Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing was coming under increasing pressure from the charger Groupama, who'd recovered from an early deficit of more than 120 miles. But as the fleet weaved its way through the Caribbean, the French team pounced.
We went south of Turks and Caicos. It was windier because it was farther from the high-pressure system. Also, a bit of a split 2 days ago allowed us to go south of Turks and Caicos. Windier equals faster, faster equals overtaking, equals catching up on the leaders.
After passing Great Isaac, the final waypoint, PUMA Ocean Racing could have been forgiven for thinking that the leg victory was in the bag. But with a 4-knot current between them and the finish, the Americans made a defensive move by turning south in an effort to reduce the amount of head-on sailing into the Gulf Stream.
We've just been working ourselves into a safe position with Camper. We've given up a few miles since rounding Great Isaac Light.
For the second consecutive leg, Marmostro crossed the line at the front of the fleet. Victory and an invaluable 30 points for the American team.
mean, this is big. This is huge for us. We kind of feel like we're back in the regatta again, you know, and we needed something like this to happen, the way this is kind of stacking up. There were so many times we could have blown this race, and this team refused to, and that's a huge credit. We've come a long way.
So here we are in Miami. That was South Beach, and this is close to where the racing action is going to be here today in the PortMiami In-Port Race. No wonder they call us the entertainment capital of the world. This is the scoreboard, and this is the state of play. And Peter Lester with me in the commentary box. The first 4 places all up for grabs, all in contention.
Well, it's all squeezed up with leg 6. And these points today now become very important. And there's a lot to play for. Just sets up for a fabulous race. And that team, Telefónica, are under attack.
Yes, this is the dock-out ceremony. This is the camper crew with Emirates Team New Zealand, and there they are on their way out. These are the leaders. This is Telefónica, and this is this fantastic city, 5.5 million people. The cruise capital of the world, they call it, and there's the evidence as the boats head out towards the race course. Quite a long tow out here for them, or a motor out, and all to do with some homeland security and the like as they go past these cruise ships. All looking a little bit calm out there. We're hoping that the sun breeze is going to fill in. Sanya leading the boats out, back in the fleet, having been rebuilt after its Southern Ocean damage. How will they fare today? Ken Reid out on PUMA, big cheers as you were leaving the dock. Home water's ready for you, but a change in the complexion of the race really for PUMA Ocean Racing. You're right back in it now after 2 leg wins. How does that affect your strategy?
You know, honestly, Martin, I don't think it affects our strategy. We can't let it affect our strategy. We've been pretty successful here the last little bit. You know, we kind of went through our rough patch early on in the race, and I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, good things hopefully happen. It's yeah, it's good for sure. It's a different feeling for the PUMA team right now because we're just back in the hunt. It's that simple, and it's a place we always wanted to be and thought we should be, and hats off to the entire team for not losing confidence early on.
Okay, well, thanks, Ken Reid. Let's go now to the race leader, Ike Martinez, on Telefónica. Ike, the gap has closed up. How much are you feeling the increased pressure?
We're feeling great. We just need some wind for sailing. There is not much at the moment, but a little breeze is coming. So all of us, we are really looking forward to this inshore, and we're going to try to have a good race.
Now, do you feel the fact that the others are closing in on you a bit?
Well, yeah, for sure. They closed at what they were in Brazil, no, but there's still some good points there. So that's always good. Anyway, we know that the one who's going to win this race is going to be the one sailing better than the others from now to the end of the race. So we just have to do that, not just try to sail better than the others.
Any change in tactics at all, or is it steady as she goes?
For sure not for the inshore race. We have enough to run the max, so we have enough thinking in our own boat.
So no mistakes this time. You're going to have that one right.
Hopefully this is not going to happen again, and hopefully we have a good result here.
Okay, thanks very much, Ike Martinez. Good luck today.
Thank you very much. We'll need that. See you.
The marvellous sights and sounds of Florida, the Sunshine State. This is Miami, and we're just 5 minutes away now from the start of the PortMiami In-Port Race, and we're bringing you live coverage coming to you from the EF International Language Centre on Miami Beach, overlooking today's race course. With me in the commentary box, world champion sailor Peter Lester, and out on the water 3 times Volvo Ocean Race veteran Jerry Kirby. Jerry, conditions out there on the breeze, the course, the breeze has certainly picked up since we interviewed the skippers.
Yeah, it's a great racetrack today. It's a big cloud line came over the course, and about 16 knot breeze filled in behind it, and it's going to be a great race today.
What do you see when you're sort of looking at the course and what these guys are going to be facing? End of line that you might fancy?
I mean, it looks like some of the pressure is coming from the right-hand side of the course, but honestly, it looks like a very square line and a nice even racetrack.
Now, Peter Lester, it's a pretty complicated course, 10 legs.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's the maximum course, and with this amount of wind, I think we're in for a ripper. But there's lots of legs, and of course we did see an issue in Itajaí where Telefónica got a little bit lost and went round the wrong marker. So ticking off the course as the boats go round, very important. But we can see there the course graphic. So we go up to round mark 1, back down to mark 2, over to 3, and then back to 4. And essentially it's twice round. So
and that little leg there between 2 and 3, just a very short spreader.
It's just a bit of a spreader leg, and but not long enough actually to let the boats change sails, so they'll two-sail reach that one.
Okay, so Team Sani there, back in the fray, having missed out last time. Telefónica as well, that was what we were alluding to with Ike Martinez before that in Itajaí. They were well in the lead on Telefónica and turned left a little bit early and ended up trailing back in the fleet, but that squeezed up the whole of the scoreboard again, and now we're right back into it. On board now with Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. You can see that the breeze is up because Ian Walker there on the helm on the left, he's got his full set of oilies on, and I mean, the one thing it won't be, I would imagine, out there, Jerry, is cold.
No, did you say it's cold?
The one thing it isn't.
Oh no, it's not cold. It's nice mild weather, but I think the crews are going to have a very physical race today. The way it's setting up, it'll be hard physically for all the boats.
Now we know that uniquely here, and it's always a delight to be able to talk about it, that you've got your boy Rome, the youngest sailor on the race here, working on board Puma, which is in the middle of our picture at the moment. We met up with him yesterday, and he'll be looking forward to the physicality of this, because that is what this is all about in these in-port races.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously young and strong. We all had dinner with him and a couple of the guys last night, and based on what he had for dinner, I think he should be fit and strong this morning.
Well, I shook hands with him yesterday, and it was like shaking hands with sandpaper.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty common affliction across the fleet. All these guys, their bodies have taken a pounding with this race course so far.
Okay, minute
and,
12.
He's no exception.
Thanks, Jerry. The minute 12 here, we're just seeing the boats tangling up. Pete, this is it looks like a fair scrap going on.
Yeah, it does, and set up for the start, vitally important. We're inside the last minute, and as often's the case, whoever can jump off the line, get a tidy start. It's an upwind first leg. 1.4 nautical miles to the top mark, but we can see out at that top end, it's group Telefónica and Camper. Camper have not actually tacked for the committee boat yet. That would indicate to me they run the risk of being late. The rest of the boats, Ian Walker right down here, still on port, setting up for a port tack start. That'd be risky. There's Sanya, so 25 to go, and Sanya down midline, and the action up towards that windward end. Can Camper get in? I think they run the risk of being late to the line. Camper, Telefónica look late. Kenny Reid midline looks very strong there to windward of Sanya. And Groupama are on port, so they're doing a port hand start. But it'll be Puma down here to windward of Sanya, who looks strong. And at the windward end, Telefónica got a beautiful start. They pinned Camper out, and Camper forced the tack away.
Camper forced attack away. We're underway now in the PortMiami In-Port Race. How did you read that out on the water, Jerry?
It was a great start. Mike Sanderson and Puma had a nice start at the pin end, and I've got to give it to Ian Walker. He had a brilliant port tack strategy, ducked in behind Puma, and he's crossing the boats that started at the boat end.
All action here at the start of this race. And it's as we expected with the breeze up. Boy, these boats absolutely light up. And who are you liking the look of now, Pete?
Oh, well,
Abu Dhabi, look at them go.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi got out of there, but at this leeward end, it was Sanya who squeezed out from underneath Puma. And Puma have really got themselves in a position there. They're in gas and forced to tack away. The other thing I've noticed, Martin, onboard camper, I'm not sure if they've got a problem or not in terms of getting ready for their pre-start. We noticed the jib that they've got on is not tacked to the bow of the boat. So that, to me, they're either on the wrong jib or they've had a problem leading up to the start. They're on a smaller jib than the rest of the fleet. So that's going to harm the camper team, possibly.
Quite a spread so far, so very quickly at the start of the race.
Well, and we had two boats starting on port, but we will look now for the spread, and it's down that leeward end that I look at Abu Dhabi. They look strong, as now we're on board Telefónica. Telefónica just to leeward of Puma. Puma got locked out there by Sanya. So look, just have a look at Camper. See there, we look at Camper, they've got a smaller Jannar on, and the Jannar is tacked or attached further back on the foredeck on board Camper. It would indicate to me, Martin, Camper,
they've got a problem.
They've had a problem.
It's a very small headsail that they've got on there, and there is somebody up on the bow working away on board Camper. As we look at Team Sanya being shown in the lead here on our virtual, and it's quite a spread for so early in the race.
Yeah, big split, and it was a very good start by Abu Dhabi. Now here's the issue on board Camper. See, they've got a small Jannar on, and we can see they're hooking on the bigger sail, but something's gone wrong on board Camper in terms of the pre-start. Nick Burridge up on the bow hooking on another Jannar, and of course that Jannar is hanked on. It's not going inside a foil, but that will be hurting the Kiwi team.
Will be hurting them. Trying to get some sound here off Groupama, but can't quite get that link coming up, not coming up on the sound there. So Sanya we're with now, looking at the head over to Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. They're all shouting. Great backdrop scenes here of the Miami skyline. Now out on the water, Jerry, what are they heading towards?
You know, they're headed to the weather mark. Everyone's on port tack right now, sort of paralleling the beach. And the breeze looks pretty even everywhere, but Abu Dhabi had a nice, they really jumped the fleet coming off that line. And it looks like Telefónica and Puma are fairly strong where they are.
Well, this is a real setback on the camper boat, and they're having to, well, it's just the wrong sail, isn't it? It's too small.
Yeah, but it would indicate, Martin, something must have gone wrong in pre-start. And we can see the difference there in sail area with Abu Dhabi. They're launched, they're beautiful start, long way forward. Then we come back to Groupama. Just look at the difference in sail area there, especially of the Genoa. And up to windward is a real arm wrestle going on between Telefónica and Puma. Puma actually have been bounced there. They got themselves into a position that they had to tack away from Telefónica. So Puma have been just bounced around a little bit in the off the line and out of the pre-start. But it's Ian Walker and his team on Abu Dhabi. They really are in a strong position. Then we go right out to the windward boat, which is Team Sanya. Mike Sanderson got a beautiful start.
Funny, isn't it, that two of the relatively unfancied boats now showing the rest of the fleet the way. I mean, on the points table, Sanya and Abu Dhabi are pretty well right out of it, and yet here they are showing the way around the fleet here. And Abu Dhabi, they've been stars in all the in-port races. Jerry, what have you thought of the way that they've shown up here?
It's fantastic. It's a great group of sailors on that boat, and Ian's a strong in-port racer, and you know, everyone, there's a real new atmosphere. All these boats are in it. 4 boats can all win this race, and Sanya and Abu Dhabi both have a chance to be the spoilers.
We're looking here at Jules Salter there. He's the navigator on board Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing. He's eyeballing the rest of the fleet. He's got his navigator's tablet in his hand, then his right hand, just giving a bit of a call in to get some guidance there from to give it to Ian Walker. And right in front of us here, Adil Khalid, the young 23-year-old from the United Arab Emirates, the first sailor from the United Arab Emirates. And Peter Lester, you know something of his antecedents?
Yes, he certainly is one of the young stars really coming out of the Gulf. He went to the Olympics in the laser class for Beijing. So Jules Salter, you can see him looking across, and what he's trying to judge is the starboard tack or the opposite tack, trying to pick up the line that he needs to take and then across to the mark. And coupled with that, we can he'll have a look across at Telefónica and determine if they're gaining or losing. What it looks like to me is that the 3 boats down to leeward or closest to the beach have actually sailed into a bit of a knock, which means their bows are pointing towards the beach. Because when we went away from that, we could see that Telefónica were bow up. Now, a knock on the port tack means that when they tack, and that's what Ian Walker's doing now, they've waited for the header, they'll tack, and then they'll come off the beach on a lift, or they're going closer to the mark. So
you've sailed a lot here, Pete, and so's Jerry Kirby. This is the 5th time that the race has been to the Sunshine State of Florida, and here we are racing in Miami, very popular racing spot. From your point of view, Jerry Kirby, what are the real characteristics? What sets it apart here?
Right now, the only different racetrack would be that where Abu Dhabi and Groupama and Camper went, have a little less foul current. The closer to shore you go, the less current you'll have. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out at the top of the course.
But we're not in Gulf Stream territory here. That's a little bit. We're inside the Gulf Stream here.
Yeah, we're inside the Gulf Stream, but there's still a current that runs north along the beach, and it's stronger offshore than it is inshore.
Getting close now. Telefónica just having to watch Abu Dhabi on starboard with right away coming through. Gee, it's close, Pete.
Yeah, it is, and that cross there, it'll be Abu Dhabi with the starboard advantage. Telefónica comes into leeward, and just by the way the boats are stacking up would indicate that they're quite close to the starboard ley line, or the approach to that top mark. So we've got Abu Dhabi leading, then down to leeward Telefónica, and then stacked up on the hip of Abu Dhabi, Groupama, back to Camper with that small Jannar on. Now, even though Sanya got a very good start at the pin end, as these other boats come off the beach, they're behind. That would indicate that there's a little bit of current relief on the shore.
What Jerry was talking about.
Or, Martin, a bit of a wind shift. The wind has actually gone to the right. So that the gaggle of boats that are actually winning the race at the moment are the group that went in towards South Beach. But what a shot that is. Beautiful bow shot. Look at the boats coming across on starboard. And what's noticeable with Camper with the smaller Jannar on, how much less horsepower they got. They're not leaning over as much, and they won't be generating quite as much lift as the first 3 boats. So Camper are hurting with that small Jannar on.
Well, they seem to be taking them a long time to get that problem sorted out. As we look at Groupama, romping along, and it's beginning to. Well, they're heading up towards that top mark, and it looks like the game might close up a little bit. But I'm looking for Puma.
Yeah, Puma. Well, she got bounced by Sanya out to sea. I think Puma's going to be trailing the fleet, possibly. All its group of boats are on the ley line to the top mark. And Camper, you can see Nick Budge still struggling. He's actually, the new Jannar is set, but they're so close to the mark that now they're concentrating on the downwind sail, getting the downwind sail, their sail ready for that downwind leg. You will see Camper come up the next windward beat on shore with a bigger sail on. Jules Salter, gee, they picked that ley line nice, and that's what he was looking at as they went across on port, picking up the ley line. And it was a beautiful start by Abu Dhabi as they squeeze up around the bow of Groupama, and we can see there a little bit of meat in the sandwich as such for Telefónica, whether Telefónica have got a lane to get into that top mark without getting gassed too much by Abu Dhabi. I think they'll squeeze in there. A real great manoeuvre there by Iker Martinez to minimise his loss. He's right in the battle.
Well, they sail that boat well. Jerry, they're piling up towards you. Whereabouts are you on the course now?
We're right at the back of all the boats. We're watching them approach from the stern, and you know, Ian looks good. It'll be interesting to see this downwind leg, whether they come inshore or stay outside.
What would be your option?
Well, I'd probably stay outside. You know, the boats that are leading benefited from a little less current and a right-hand shift. So we'll see how they go going down to the next mark.
Martin, another bit of a game change here. Iker Martinez has got bow forward enough. It's Telefónica are going to be leading at Mark 1. So that ley line that the Spanish, the leaders of the Volvo Ocean Race, they picked a beautiful ley line off the beach, and it will be Telefónica that as the leeward boat, they've got rights around the mark. The windward boat, Abu Dhabi, required to keep clear. So that's a lead change on leg 1. So at the first mark, it's Telefónica, the Volvo Ocean Race leader, leading the in-port race here in Miami.
It's almost like situation normal here when you see that Spanish boat being so beautifully sailed, picking the lines, great crew work, kite up and off they go. And I think, as ever, they're going to take some catching. They were in this position in a Tajain, made a crucial error, but I don't think they'll be making that mistake this time.
No, that was you know, they got a good start, they got a clean start on Telefónica, but they have manipulated their way beautifully with great positioning, great tactics to the top mark. Mike Sanderson had a good start at the pin end, but that right-hand shift went against them, and they will come in next ahead of Camper. Camper have sailed the whole windward bed, a whole windward leg with the wrong Jannar on. I think they've probably had a mechanical issue or a sail issue, but they have really been wounded, Camper. And Puma really just got bounced around the racetrack off that start. They got squeezed off the line by Sanya. And they, for Camper, this is a very disappointing in-port first leg for them. Puma, really, they just became in a position of being bounced around the racetrack.
What was your take on Puma, Jerry?
I think Peter hit it right on the head. They never got into a space where they could sail where they wanted to. Telefónica continued on to the right side of the course, and that's really paid a big dividend.
So this is the procession here in the PortMiami In-Port Race, and Ian Walker, he's just relinquished the lead that he had to Iker Martinez, the overall race leaders on Telefónica, showing why they are the overall race leaders, because they just continue to sail an impeccable race in a pretty impeccable boat.
Martin, that was a slick bit of sailing up that first leg. They got a good start. It was Ian Walker and Abu Dhabi that really nailed the start. They jumped off the line, but Telefónica were able to pick their line to come in on starboard to the top mark. They tucked in underneath Abu Dhabi. They had enough free air that it meant when they got in to the zone area, or the 3 boat length circle of the top mark, they had the inside running, and that was the lead change. Iker Martinez again showing just his class in terms of positioning the boat in terms of the markers that he needs to go around.
Well, when we interviewed him earlier on, he was looking pretty confident, and you can see that confidence really paying dividends. And you know, he might be feeling the pressure of being squeezed on the points table, but Jerry Kirby, we were having a chat yesterday about the whole sort of psychology of the race, and they don't seem to have had much dents put in their confidence, eh?
No. Ika and Shabby are very confident sailors. Obviously, their record, they've won so much together. When you put that much time in, I think they just calm down. They don't get upset and take one race at a time.
Looks like boats now setting up for the jibe. We could see on board Telefónica the trimmers just communicating with the helmsman in terms of pressure in the Genoa or in the Jenica. But Iker Martinez really has come out in this one, and I'm sure we're not going to see the same mistake in terms of what markers to go around that we saw in Atajaí, but it's all Telefónica.
We've seen by and large in these in-port races that whoever gets ahead, rich get richer, they get the jump and away they go. So what about the issue then of overtaking lanes? Are there any that you can see, Jerry?
Now, right now, it looks like it's going to be all the same positions coming down to the bottom mark, and someone will have to make a mistake to have a change in the next, say, 2 legs.
Pretty well a Simo jibe there. The 3 leading boats all jibe together. Telefonica have come out clean. Their big blue Jenica was the first one to fill. Abu Dhabi with Groupama to windward. What the boats are trying to do is just to keep their wind clear, especially Telefonica and Abu Dhabi over Groupama. But I think the only boat really at risk of having any wind shadow would be Abu Dhabi. But from my eye, the wind is coming forward of the Jenica of Groupama. And we just go back and have a look at virtual coming into the top mark. We can see all the boats stacked up on starboard, but it was Telefonica that just picked that ley line to perfection. They had a little bit of a lift around 20 boat lengths from the mark, and it just tucked them up. They were around first. Abu Dhabi, Groupama, and that is how they've gone down. They went on starboard jibe, getting out towards the ley line. For me, Martin, the next passing opportunity will be the bottom mark manoeuvre. The boats are short crew. They're not set up for in-port sort of racing in terms of crew numbers. So it's the bottom mark manoeuvre. That's Jenica down, Genoa up, and then radius of turn around the bottom mark. There's quite a lot on at that bottom mark in terms of the crew. And if there is an opportunity for the trailing boats, that's where it's going to be.
Jerry Kirby, we talk a lot about the fact that these boats are so short-handed. You probably normally have 16, 18 people on a 70-footer like this. You've sailed them, your boy's sailing one now. What can you tell us about how physical it is to actually handle one of these boats in a breeze like this on a short race course?
Well, it's short-handed, so everyone has to grind. What's changed in this race is we used to fly in grinders to add to the crew, and now it's just the 10 crew that sail offshore, so it puts a real premium on physical fitness for these guys to be really fit to deal with the extra physicality.
Boats are on the ley line, Genoa's already up, so with such a small crew, it's about making early calls. Now, one change here, Martin, it's Abu Dhabi have been rolled by Groupama, so the wind shadowing effect did come into play. The other thing, it looks like the boats they went quite a long way on starboard, so they're actually coming in at the mark on quite a tight angle. But it's Abu Dhabi have been rolled by Groupama, so now we've got Telefonica and Groupama second, and Abu Dhabi. Off comes the downwind sails, the Jenicas. The Genoas are already up, of course, and as they come around Mark 2, no change to the leaderboard with Telefonica leading. There was a change for second place with Groupama getting round. Looks like they've gone a little bit past the mark. Jerry, you're at that bottom mark. Did it all get a bit tight down towards the bottom there?
Yeah, no, they was just a schwabble. They put the bow down so they could get the kite on board. It looks like it'll be a clean rounding, but there is definitely current that was pushing them right at the mark. So that's that extra swing.
A little bit untidy here at the mark, but then that is also part of the issue with having so few people on board, and Groupama just managing to squeeze around tightly here.
Yeah, Groupama's just got tucked in on the inside of Telefonica. Telefonica will probably still be in. Telefonica had the harder manoeuvre at the mark. So
another lead change?
Not quite, but it's opened the door for Groupama against Telefonica. Now we're heading off on leg 3 over. This is the half a mile, 0.5 of a nautical mile, 2 sail reach over around a offset mark and back again. And this will just allow the crews to get their Jenicas down below, get them packed. But it's essentially just a little offset, 2 sail reach offset mark as we look at Sanya now coming in. But there was a bit of action at that bottom mark there, Martin, because again it's complicated. There's sails to get down and the correct angle to get on over to the next marker.
Those front half, they've got to jump on the fleet.
Yeah, there's some action over, and we look again at the front of the field. It is Telefónica under attack by Groupama. It looks to me as though Groupama have done the business. So Frank Camas and his team, they're on a roll. They're enjoying these conditions for the Miami In-Port Race.
And that was a little bit of reaching across there, and they do love it.
Lead change here, Martin. Groupama, they've come from third. They were third at Mark 1. Groupama take the lead as they come into Mark 3, and that just goes back to a better mark rounding at Mark 2 for Frank Camas and the Groupama sailing team.
Pretty impressive, Jerry, by the French boat.
Yeah, it was. They had their ley line really set them up strong because they could take a big dip to get the kite down. So they had beautiful crew work, came around clean, got up inside of Telefónica, who was slow from a rough takedown, and they've jumped the lead.
Abu Dhabi on the catch-up too, Pete.
Yeah, that was that just looked quite close there, port starboard, but I didn't see any flag. And it's always a tricky one when the boats are changing course. Now we're back on again another half a mile back to back to the Mark 4, the bottom mark, and then they'll go upwind again. This is just the small offset leg. Sanya come round the mark. And then Camper. Now you can see Camper have gone now to their bigger Genoa, so they'll be up to the same horsepower as the rest of the field.
It's going to be interesting to know what the issue was there. Was it a mechanical issue? Was it the wrong choice of Hetzel? And it's whatever it was.
Or maybe Jerry, you got any thoughts on that? What were Camper about at the beginning of the race?
But what happened was Telefónica came in, a little below the mark, so they didn't leave enough room to do a deep swabble. So it made the drop very difficult.
Puma now chasing Camper, but those front boats have got away.
Yeah, the front boats, and it's Groupama who have really stepped out and put that one back down to that bottom mark rounding by Groupama. They got their ley line a bit stronger on the ley line. Now it's when I look at that, it's Abu Dhabi are putting Telefónica under a bit of heat on that little two-sail reach.
Well, we do know that there are conditions in which Abu Dhabi is hot, and these would appear to be. Look at this.
Abu Dhabi have rolled Telefónica, so it's all on. There's plenty of lead changes or place changes.
Well, we did wonder if there might be.
Short-handed makes it tough, and it's. Now, what I'm being told here is Mark 4 will actually be that rib there, the powerboat with the flag on it. Looks like the Scottish flag. Martin, you'll be better on flags than me.
You're right.
That is they've replaced the marker with that rib. There must have been an issue with the positioning. So Groupama around the mark. Abu Dhabi have got round Telefónica. Plenty of action at the front of the pack. And then Telefónica. Then we go back to Sanya, Camper and Puma. So they did have to, Mark 4 will be the rib with the code flag M. And there must have been a bit of a procedural issue out there. But Telefónica looked like they had the game in hand, and how quickly it can change.
Well, we were asking at the very beginning there, were there any passing lanes, and they were difficult to see, but they suddenly appeared, and those who were able to get into them in the form of Groupama and Abu Dhabi have leapt in there. So here we go, we're in the PortMiami In-Port Race off the Sunshine State. I mean, this is, they have been here a number of times before, and they're looking at the Puma entry here as well. They've had 10 sailing entries altogether in this race. Jerry Kirby's been on a couple of them, and 94 US sailors in the Volvo Ocean Race. And I wonder what number you might have been, Jerry.
I'll be 98.
No, we weren't asking your age.
Now, Jerry, they're on the upwind lead again. Last time it played to go along the beach, come out on starboard ley line. What's it looking like to you this time up?
Well, there's been a little course access change, but I would still take the beach. Telefónica's tacked immediately, so Groupama and Abu Dhabi look good, and they're headed back into the beach. So I'd still take the beach.
Camper have tacked away. I suspect they had to go because of turbulent wind coming off the back of Sanya's sails.
Well, we'll see if Jerry's call about the beach is right, because Camper head out there and Puma keep on going.
Well, just the tidal relief, Martin, along the beach. You know, there is a little bit of set in running from, as we look, from left to right.
Watching Brad Marsh here,
Boy, that's hard, yeah.
Kiwi on board Groupama, showing no ill effects from sticking a knife through his wrist on the leg before.
So we have a split in the fleet. We've got Telefónica and Camper heading out on starboard and then heading towards the beach. We've got that group of Groupama, Abu Dhabi, Sanya and Puma. A good gauge of this will be but probably between Puma and Camper, because Camper tacked to clear their wind. Puma were just behind them. So when the boats come back together again, that will give us later on in the beat a gauge of which side of the track is favoured.
Well, Jerry was favouring the beach, and we're looking across the beach now. It looks nice, a few people having a swim there. But the beach still would have been your choice, Jerry, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out, but if I was in the back of the boat, I'd head back into the beach. The breeze is starting to moderate a bit, so we'll see how that works out in this upwind beat.
Looking back at the high rise of this fantastic, famous resort. We're broadcasting to you from one of those buildings out there. It's the EF International Language Centre, and they've kindly accommodated us here, and we've taken over one of the floors, and we've got all these aerials and the like up on the roof. And I have to say, it affords for people on that side of the building an absolutely fabulous view of the race course and the beaches, and I've no doubt there'll be plenty of people enjoying this action here in the PortMiami In-Port Race.
We're on leg 5. We're on board Groupama. It's coming up to halfway through the race. Groupama have come from third. They're in the lead. Put that down to that good bottom mark rounding as Frank Camas and his team, they tack. They'll be close to the ley line to the top. And I think I'm with Jerry. I like the beach side as we look at that shot. We've got Groupama tacked, and Telefónica look quiet. They've tacked back onto port to come back across, but
well, you say that it's easing up a bit out there, moderating a bit, Jerry?
Yeah, it's dropped down. It looks like it's about 12 knots, whereas before it was 16. And I think the beach is still a good bet. There's a nice right-hand shift coming off the shore, so.
Well, anything right-hand, as Jerry's calling, and a little bit of current relief will favour those boats that have gone over to that side, Groupama, and we've got
certainly not looking good for Camper if that's
down
the case.
There, and Mike Sanderson is doing a pretty good job, but what we perceive as a slower boat, but he's going the right way. He did get a good start. It just didn't work out for him because it's at the wrong end of the line. But Camper have been bounced out more out to the ocean, and if that shore side pays, Camper and will pay. It's going to cost them. Remember, the gauge for Camper will be against Puma.
Girl on the back there, that's I think Adriana Demura from the program Real Housewives of Miami, the reality TV show. I wonder what she's making of this. A rare experience for somebody to be out there enjoying a ride on the back of one of these boats in a proper race like this, a race that's counting, that's vital. So that's Chris Nicholson saying looks like an attack in the next 30 seconds, so he'll be communicating with his bow. Stu Ballantyne, the navigator, the watch captain on the left, just popping up here is Andy McLean. Animal is nickname. I'm not quite sure why.
Well, I think Camper have been just given the scraps here, really. In fact, both boats that have come out, way out to the side, were probably forced away, but they're going to be hurting big time. And Camper really have had issues in this race. But we look at virtual there, and it's the distinct orange line of Groupama. They're in the lead.
Stretching. They're stretching all the time.
gee, they've sailed well.
They always do. That's extraordinary. And I mean, they've just got stronger and stronger and stronger as this race has gone along.
It's good to see Mike Sanderson back and the Sanya team, and they're having a good race. So right now they're fourth, and Mike Sanderson, I just wonder whether, talking about Mayonnaise, as they're working on board, we might be able to tap in and have a listen.
Just as they go quiet.
They go quiet on us. It's normal. As we look at Sanya, this boat.
Lovely shots on the chopper here, going around Sanya as they put the hammer down, was the word that we're hearing coming off the boat there.
Well, I get the impression, Martin, they might be slightly overlaid. Been a bit of there's been a big right-hand shift, and that has meant the boats on the right get more of a rotation around the mark. Groupama are right on the button. They were first attacked, remember. So if they tack just short of the ley line, then you get another 10 degrees of right-hand shift. So that means that the boat will want to just naturally climb on the mark and gain bearing.
It's amazing that the way they've pulled this lead out so quickly. Beautiful sailing by the French on Groupama. Telefonica coming back into the pack now, and I wonder how much they've suffered by that heading offshore, because it sure looks like Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand have been well punished for that manoeuvre. And I guess, though, I mean, Jerry, if you're right at the back, you have to just you've got to just take a different option, because otherwise you're just going to be playing a follow-up.
Yeah, it's interesting. Telefonica was right with Groupama and Abu Dhabi rounding that mark, and they went straight out into the bad current. And I mean, the big news is the beach pays. It's got a big right-hand shift and less current, and it really cost Telefonica heading out to sea.
Yeah, it's cost Telefonica and it's cost Camper as well. And in fact, with Telefonica now, they're under attack from Sanya. Sanya went all the way to the beach. It's Cameron Dunn there, who's the tactician. Cameron Dunn just want to keep the hammer down. That he wants not so much to climb, he wants to go fast. As Sanya taking advantage of the favoured right-hand side of the track.
Just listening to the sound coming off the boats here. Get some clues as to what their plans are. Well, this is looking at the virtual eye here as we look back across the racecourse. It has been very, very expensive for Camper, who I suspect are going to end up trailing. And this is the lead boat here, Groupama, sailing an absolutely impeccable race.
So Groupama approach coming up to mark 1, which is leg 5. So it's that top mark, Groupama, beautiful ley line. Then we stack back to Abu Dhabi. So Groupama have extended nicely. Abu Dhabi got round Telefonica, and Telefonica then were forced out to sea, and they're under attack from Sanya. So Groupama are leading. So it's mark 5. Then Abu Dhabi. So Ian Walker's just hanging in there, Martin. He was ahead. He got rolled by Telefonica, but he's keeping the pressure on. Then I'm going to go back and have a look. Who's going to be ahead out of Sanya and Telefonica? That will give a good gauge of how expensive it was to tack away.
Well, it did look like, we know that Telefonica's certainly got the legs on Sanya. How's it looking out there, Jerry? I might have lost Jerry out on that edge of the course.
Yeah, I lost you guys for a minute.
He's back. We're just having a little bit of a think about the race between Sanya and Telefonica. How's it looking from you on the water?
Well, it's initially it looked like Sanya was overstood. It's moderated even more, but Sanya looks fairly strong. If Telefonica lays the mark, they'll be ahead. So it really, I think Telefonica may hold their lead at the top mark.
We'll just have a bit of a look. We're talking about these two boats coming in. We've got Sanya. They are bow forward on Telefonica. There is a little bit of set, so that's current running from, like a river, from left to right. That's pushing the boats down from the mark. And as I eyeball that, I think Telefonica have lost another position. Sanya have rolled over the top. Can they roll round the bow of Telefonica? I think they will. Look for the sails to be eased. Mike Sanderson on the wheel, coming into Mark 5. Sanderson, he'll be happy to get round Telefonica. Yep, it'll be Sanya ahead of Telefonica. We can see the sneak on board Sanya. Telefonica's going to come into this mark, squeezed. But maybe they've just held Sanya up enough, but Sanya will roll round their bow because they'll have a bit better momentum as they exit the mark on Sanya. But it was a very good ley line by Telefonica, but where they'll pay the price will be as they exit the mark. They'll be in gas, they'll be in turbulent wind, and also if you come into the mark slow, you exit the mark slow. Sanya have their Jenica up. Telefonica are still hoisting, Sanya slightly ahead.
It unfolds in front of our eyes exactly as Peter Lester was describing there. And good call by both of you guys on the water as well, because that was neatly done. And Puma now, Jerry, they've come back off the end of the fleet.
Yeah, they you know, it's interesting. They may have gone too far and overstood a little. And now that the breeze is moderating, there's a possibility that we may see some more changes before this race is over.
It's been a complete disaster for these guys here, from having a boat with a couple of cylinders of the engine missing effectively at the beginning of the leg, and they have just gone from bad to worse, and hard to see any salvation here.
It's tough. This is a tough pill for the camper team, but you know, they've been pushed around, they got bounced off that bottom mark, they went right, and we can see, remember at the bottom mark they were just ahead of Puma, so by going the wrong way up that windward beat, the distance between camper and Puma is how much they've lost due to positioning on the course.
Well, it's a disastrous day for the Spanish-Kiwi collaboration, and it started off with the wrong head select for the conditions, too small a sail, and they were always on the back foot from there on in. You try and take an alternative option, hoping that something might come right. Well, in this case, it certainly hasn't. It's gone completely wrong, and Camper are at this stage wallowing in last place, and that's going to hurt their challenge on the points table. In the meantime, up at the front of the fleet, Groupama looking really strong, and that's going to push them up. Especially if Mike Sanderson can stay ahead of Telefonica. There's still a fair bit of this race to go.
Yeah, there is. We're heading now down to Mark 6, which is effectively the downwind leg. And again, another opportunity, although the fleet are a lot more spread out now, that bottom mark before they do the little offset, it puts the crew under pressure. But there's the leader, Groupama. Abu Dhabi has had a good race, good start. They did have a bit of a hiccup when Telefonica got round, but they kept their composure. But Groupama they've done the business, my word.
This is young Brad Marsh, one of the under-30s. Each boat has 3 under-30-year-olds, encouraging a new generation to come into this sport at the very elite level. The only Kiwi on board, only New Zealander on board this boat, but then most of them do have a fair mix of nationalities, and is that sort of reflecting the international flavour of the sport. And Jerry, you must have sailed with a United Nations of crewmates.
Yeah, if you do the Whitbread and the Volvo, you end up for sure sailing with every nationality that's involved in offshore sailing.
Now, how important for you here in America to have this PortMiami In-Port Race and also the restart here? How important to have the Volvo coming here in terms of of trying to get a new generation of sailors sailing?
Well, I think for the sailors that are active and follow the sport in the United States, it's really important to keep it coming here, to build up, keep the interest up. It's also a good market for Volvo as a sponsor. And it's interesting, though. It competes with so many other sports, but it's great to see them here in the U.S.
Well, that's Miami as well, isn't it? You know, the renowned championship event city. What have we had here? We'd get NFL Super Bowls, tennis, NASCAR, IndyCar. We've got the NBA here on the moment with the Miami Heat. I mean, this is it's a sort of sports central city, Jerry.
Yeah, it's a very big, you know, multi-pro sports city, and all these other, like you said, pro tennis and golf. But with the Dolphins, the Marlins, and the Heat, it takes a lot to compete with those sports.
Well, I'll say on behalf of these guys and yourself that that this, to me, has got to be one of the toughest sports in the world, and this is, we know, the toughest ocean race in the world, certainly the longest. It's an absolute marathon, 9 months, and the crews get an absolutely regular battering. How long would it take you to recover from one of these races, Jerry? I mean, you know, getting your sleep patterns back, getting your food back on board, your muscle mass recovered?
You know, I'd say for most guys, they'd tell you it's somewhere between 6 and 9 months after the race you feel just about normal again.
That's a long time, and that reflects what they call life at the extreme.
Big stretch here, Martin. Big stretch getting back to the race. It's gone light. And as that light patch came on, Groupama have gone out to 300 metres. They're coming into Mark 6, which is effectively Mark 2. So it's leg 6, Mark 2. We're at the bottom of the course. They're going to do this small reaching leg again now. And I've had the liberty of doing a slightly easier takedown. We can see the marker there in the distance. The Genoa comes down inside on the leading edge of the mainsail. So Groupama are leading, but with the lighter conditions, it was up to 16 knots. Now it looks like it's down to only, you know, what it might be 7 or 8 knots. And so that changes the dynamic again of what's going on in terms of manoeuvring the boat, the amount of horsepower that's available to the crew and the skipper. But Groupama. Interesting that there was a pretty cautious takedown on Groupama, which reflects what Jerry said earlier in the race, that, you know, you've got to really time your manoeuvres. Time, of course, the key in every sport. When you've got a bit more time, you're always looking better. But that said, we're talking about it going lighter, Jerry. You can actually feel. We can't feel it here in the commentary box. You can down there. What are you feeling?
Yeah, it's probably half the wind speed it was at the start. It's single digits. It's probably 7 or 8 knots right now. So there's a lot of opportunity for position changes with how much is left in the race. Gee, look how quiet it's got, though. Groupama around the mark. And that, with that manoeuvre that they did, it's just meant that Abu Dhabi have got back at them a bit by coming in on a slightly better angle. So it's closed up a little bit between Groupama and Abu Dhabi.
We're watching the kite coming down there, being sucked into through the hatch there on Abu Dhabi, and it'll be an absolute sauna in there, Jerry.
Yeah, no, those guys are sweating like, well, I won't give any rude
analogies. Sweating like somebody who's very hot.
Exactly.
Hot and humid it is as well, because we're not that far off the Gulf Stream with its humid effect. And look at this now, this Sanya coming in. Can they get this in clean?
Yes, Sanya need looking for a good mark rounding here. Gee, it looks, are they going for a set after the mark, after the jibe? Yes. As they come round, we can see plenty of action. Cameron Dunn going up the bow.
Look at Telefónica coming in from the right.
Yep, that's exactly right. It's Telefónica. Are they going to put Sanya under pressure at this bottom mark? Crew work crucial. Sanya also being attacked by Puma. Sanya
it's all on here.
They're dead in the water. And you've got the rules coming into play. The inside boat at the zone has the rights. And here comes Telefónica. Telefónica coming in from the
But they can't get in.
side.
They can't get in. They're on the wrong side.
No,
They're
I think
on port.
They will squeeze in there.
Oh.
The other boats can't get at them, even if they're inside the zone. So back comes Iker Martinez. Telefónica comes round. We've got Sanya in trouble with crew work. Puma still with a Jenica on. Round comes Telefónica. They're going to be slow. What this is going to do there, though, Martin, is allow Camper to get right on the transom of this gaggle of boats. But we'll let that develop. So Sanya are still struggling to get their Jenica in, but they're slow. Telefónica are parked up. There's not a lot of winds. Sanya trying to clear their wind just to get a bit of windward gauge. Where's Puma?
Puma's tucked in behind.
Puma will be in the gas as well.
Kenny's barking some orders there on Puma.
So it's all on at Mark 6.
The game closes again. And from the left comes the big red and white livery of Camper with Emirates Team New Zealand. And they've made some inroads as the weather's gone light, then as the wind's gone light, they can get a little concertina effect. But so often what happens here, correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, is that it all collects in a gaggle, then it all stretches out rather like as they appeared.
Yes, but what's the Groupama are already around Mark 7, and they're heading back now towards the other boats, and as with Abu Dhabi. Now, issue, the boats that are coming towards us are on starboard. They have the rights. Groupama and Abu Dhabi are required to keep clear. So that's why you're seeing the course alteration. Puma have the rights. They have the starboard advantage of that group of boats that came round and really got in quite an arm wrestle. But Frank Camas did not, I don't think he's falling for the trap of sailing too close to those starboard. Oh, there's an issue up in Sanya. The Genoa, the battens have not flicked through onto the leeward side. They're caught. There's a batten, like a girder, that holds the head of the sail open. It's been kicked through now. But Sanya did not have a very tidy mark rounding with a late takedown. They still had an issue. They've been passed by two boats, by Telefónica and Puma, and they'll be under the pump from Camper. And that's what Mike Sanderson's saying, just trying to settle the team down.
February boys, long way to go is what he was saying. Jerry, that was a bit of a flurry of activity to absorb.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was funny. Telefónica came out in pretty good shape. Mike Sanderson was able to block Puma, but it'll be close to see who gets around that mark next, Telefónica or Puma.
Telefónica, the second recovery that they've had to make, and still a fair bit of race to go. And when it gets light like this, then, as Jerry was saying before, lots can happen.
Yeah, it can. I actually think the boats that are in the lead are pretty well launched. Groupama are getting back over towards Mark 9, so that's Mark 4, or leg 9, Mark 4. But this group of boats of Telefónica, Puma, Sanya and Camper, that's where the excitement's going to be for the remainder of the race. Look how quiet it is at the mark. Telefónica almost parked at the mark. Ken Reid comes in on starboard. He just, well, you might see a flag here. I think Kenny Reid's had to alter course. Up goes the flag. Now the umpires have been asked the question, port starboard, did Telefónica do enough to keep clear? Could they in fact have manoeuvrability to keep clear? That will be the issue, but that was the green flag. And what that would have been is that Telefónica actually didn't have any momentum. They didn't have an avenue of escape. We could see a reciprocal. Puma have the same problem. Now Puma have got Sanya coming at them. Sanya have bailed out. But then you'll have the same issue. Same issue with Camper. Watch for Camper against. I don't think Sanya can tack there with Camper on their hip. Well, it's all on with these boats. And so now it is Camper. Yeah, but Camper have got Sanya trapped. Sanya can't tack. So Camper will just clear their wind, build some speed, and then tack over. It's got very light.
Here they go. Well, you think it's over, and then all of a sudden, Jerry, another throw of the dice.
Yeah, it's a bit of a restart at the back of the fleet.
But like we were saying, like Peter was saying before, it does look like the front runners are off and running. Here's Groupama from virtual into reality. The French boat just doing everything right, and with all the time in the world, it would seem.
Well, I wouldn't speak too soon.
I don't know about that. What's interesting here is that Abu Dhabi have actually gone for a code 0. They've put up more sail area because it's gone very light. And it didn't look to me as though Groupama could lay the mark. No, they can't. If it's the orange mark, I check my list. Yes, it is the orange mark. We could see yet another lead change. And this is all coming about because of the conditions going light. And Abu Dhabi here have got the right sail on, Martin. They've got a code 0 line. We can see how much bigger it is in area. And they've taken advantage of the changing conditions. There's a course change. That's the course change mark. So that will be indicating as they head up to the top mark, which will be Mark 9, or it's the old Mark 1. But look how light and glassy it's gone. Jerry, how does it look up the course to you? Boats going to code 0s.
Yeah, it's very light up the course, so I wouldn't bet on anything right now. But for sure, it's still, you've got to go to the beach. And if anyone doesn't go to the beach, well,
I think they might have all learned that lesson by now. You would have thought so, at least on Camper. I guess that when you don't go, as in their case, they had little choice because they had to do something because they were just going to be dead in the water where they were. Or would they have been better off just plugging away and not taking that gamble? As the way it's turned out with everything concertina with the wind going light.
Well, yeah, but you don't know that's going to happen.
No.
These boats are pretty well bow to bow because Groupama have also gone to a code 0. These big overlapping maximum sail area, and Groupama in that leeward position will be able to pretty well dictate where Abu Dhabi put their bow in terms of wanting to speed build. So although Abu Dhabi looked like they were closer to the mark, in terms of the aerodynamic effect of the wind going over the sail plan, or the windage, or the high aerodynamic effect, it will be Groupama that probably can utilise their sail a little bit more effectively than Abu Dhabi.
Probably a little click quicker, the French boat as well, but
it looks
soft.
soft.
Say, this is soft, but you've got to these guys, they were getting a big raps as they were leaving the dock today. Mention being made of the name of their boat, which in Arabic is Azam, which means determined. Well, this is a display of great determination to hang on there in second and now be challenging as well, even for top spot. Slow here, you can hear Ian Walker say.
And he does look a bit slow. You can see, look at the, if you just look at the bow wash coming off
and he was struggling to fill that code 0 as well. I think there's some gesticulating from the back of the boat from Frank Camas. There might be some boats in the way, spectator boats out here to watch this PortMiami In-Port Race. It's just
well, it's certainly gone light
there. So Telefónica now.
It's gone light and funky, and that has meant the race could get turned on its head. We started this one off in, what, 16 knots?
Yeah.
And as the race has gone on, it's just got lighter and lighter, and the wind has become very unstable.
What's going on here?
Justin Slattery and Adil Khalid. It's a big spectator boat out in the front. It's what they're been waving at, because that is windage.
That's an issue. That big block of flats sitting in front of Abu Dhabi, that's not helping them at all. And it looks like Abu Dhabi, and they won't want to, might have to tack away. Ideally, they would want that spectator boat for Abu Dhabi to move to the right, but of course then they run the risk of affecting Groupama. So Abu Dhabi, if the best thing the spectator boat can do now probably is just keep where they are. but I don't. Yeah, unfortunately, they're steaming forward, you know. And that is not a good look for Abu Dhabi. Spectator boat. Ian Walker
to come up and round it.
Ian Walker trying to pinch round the windward side of the spectator boat. Looks like they'll get there.
Well, the spectators are enjoying it. They're getting an absolutely fantastic view as we look from on board Abu Dhabi, from Azam, back up at this. It is a block of flats, isn't it? And I mean, this does a number of things. I mean, we always say the spectator boats just stay put. I think he is actually on the move, this guy, which doesn't help at all. There might be some words being exchanged here. There's lots of whistles of support, but they might not be getting quite such a warm reception from the sailors, who will be hurting as a result of this. Ian Walker looking out behind his code 0, just trying to keep enough distance. I mean, this guy really, the spectator boat should just stay put. So they're getting clear of it now anyway. At least they didn't have to go down to the other side of it, which would have, you can see it would cast a huge wind shadow. What are you making of that down there, Jerry? I mean, that is a block of flats in the way.
Yeah, Frank Camas wouldn't be too happy about having to sail to lure to that. It's like a miniature island, so, or not so miniature, but it's.
You can see how the boat's got a bit of a lean on it, where everybody's gone onto the one side to watch the action of it going by.
Yeah.
So at least,
Martin, this game's changing again. The boats are all compressing. I get the impression that the boats from behind may well have had a little bit more breeze or a better angle.
Carrying it in.
Well, the pressure is actually starting to fill a little from offshore.
Okay, so that means that the boats to windward on the left have got a bit more pressure. The wind is coming in. I mean, there's still a fair old gap between the two leading boats, and then we come back to Puma. But
actually, as you're talking, Peter, Azam and Groupama are getting a lift in on the beach. They're starting to lift up under the offshore boats.
Well, that's been the characteristic, hasn't it? This is looking out from South Beach, out towards the fleet.
But the boat that's Jerry, just looking at the boat that's lost out big time in this big wind change has been Telefónica.
Yeah, they had to do a circle from the foul at the mark, and they're in brutal breeze. They got flagged, and they had to do a turn at the last mark.
Okay, so
they did get flagged.
Telefónica got flagged at that bottom mark. We saw.
So let's see if we can maybe we can get a little bit of a recap on that shortly about what that was all about, because we thought we saw a green flag at the earlier mark. Well, we did, and that was Puma's protest on Telefónica, and that was green flag, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there were multiple flags, and from on the water, Jerry Kirby has just told us that Telefónica have copped a penalty. Wow, that's
Any
expensive.
word out there, Jerry, on what that was for? Because I was wondering where they were.
Well, we were back at the bottom mark, and they were rounding the reach mark, and it looks like they failed to stay clear. We weren't right on top of it, but they did a penalty turn, so I'm assuming.
So if it's failed to steer clear, Pete, that means that that somebody had rights of way over them, and they've got in the way. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. If you fail to keep clear, now.
I wonder who it was. Well, presumably it was Puma.
Well, yeah, maybe Puma. Let's get back into this though. Abu Dhabi now got a good steam on here. They're rolling over the top of Groupama. So Ian Walker, after getting around that spectator boat, they've managed to position themselves so that they can push forward. They're not being affected by the lured boat. So it's all on at the front of the course. It's you can see there the coding on the bottom of the Genoa, or the code 0. Ian Walker against Frank Camas. Who's going to blink?
What an opportunity now for Abu Dhabi. They've been great in these inshore races, and the boat, can occasionally show some a really astonishing turn of speed, but it's now going to be down to I guess, what's it going to take? I mean, it's just keeping the momentum going, and when it's getting a bit light and funky like this.
Yeah, right now your boat handling has to be perfect. You just can't stop the boat. and you have to come into your marks clean and exit clean.
Just hearing that we're going to try and have a bit of a look, Martin, at that mark incident.
This could be interesting. Let's see what we've got here. So here we go.
So this
was
is
the action.
mark. This is the offset mark, and Telefónica coming in. And we talked about this at the time, and Telefónica came in. They were pinching to the mark.
And they kind of parked.
And they tacked the boat and then parked up. And that meant that the next boat in line, which was PUMA, had to alter course to go around their transom. So we'll just let this develop, and we can see Telefónica coming in. They had a very, very slow tack. The Genoa comes through, and effectively the boat starts. PUMA comes in with a lot of pace on, and Kenny Reid, he sails straight, he alters course, and that possibly means that alteration of course. Or did they touch the mark? I think you're right, Martin. Just looking at that, remember it was a green flag from
It was a green flag.
I think they actually hit the mark.
Well, we'll find that out, but that replay certainly looked that might have been the case, knowing that there was a green flag originally. Okay, so well, that's kind of history now. But the fact is that's really completely altered the complexion of the race. It's put Telefónica, we think, right at the back of the fleet. Yes, by a long way back at the back of the fleet. So that's more significance on the points table. When we look, Groupama will pick up 6 if it stays like this, and that sure does close the gap between Groupama and Telefónica at the top of the leaderboard. Well, we did say how significant how significant it would be, and again we were looking at Telefónica in the lead at the beginning of this race, thinking, well, this is a replay. This is back to the way the form was. Look at it closing up now. This gap on Virtual up at the lead. It's just all changing.
It's great. This is probably the most exciting, will be the most exciting last 4 legs of the Volvo Ocean Race that's in the history of the race.
Well, it's been pretty action-packed, and we have got another lead change. The boat that's really coming through here is Camper, so we'll talk about that. Remember, they were last. So we've got a boat that's gone from first to last. We've got a boat that's gone from last possibly up to third, depends where they are.
You can do the most amazing graph of this race to show what's happened.
Abu Dhabi, you've got the lead back, so that's another lead change. And I look out to sea there, and it does look like there's a bit of pressure coming.
Well, this is interesting. Let's have a look. I'm going to have another look at that mark rounding that's ended up with Telefónica. Well, Ken Reid, now you could watch this. Watch Ken Reid. Now he can't believe. He's hit the mark. He's hit the mark. That's what he's saying.
Definitely that.
He's looking at the mark. Well, that's amazing.
That's the issue. Yeah. So we'll pick that one
because,
up.
Well, when that actually happened, you could see and hear Ken, and I thought it was a shout of rage at not getting the penalty. I was sure of it. So here he goes. Now look, Kenny's looking at the mark. He's watching the. Now there, he's being normal there. He's being normal. He's about to go off, and I thought that was anger that the green flag had come through. I thought he was looking back at the Empire boat, but no, he's looking at the mark. They've hit it. Yes, but I think that's fairly clear now.
Well,
how extraordinary. Well,
and Martin, in context of the race, that could be a big moment. And the other big moment could be the two boats, Camper and PUMA. If Camper have come back from the death in terms of the points again for the Volvo Ocean Race, could be a very big deal. The other fascinating thing is how well Ian Walker's done here.
He's done brilliantly
to actually sail round.
Look at the look on his face here. We've seen that before. That's the Ian Walker game face. You were talking about comparing him with Chris Dixon, the famous Kiwi sailor, a while back, and he is absolutely he's got that game face on, and he looks to me a bit like Chris Dixon. That look of concentration, and appropriately on Azam, that look of determination. Fantastic racing. Jerry, we're really glad you're sharing this with us. We've missed having you on the water, and you've clearly brought something with you.
I hope if it's like this for the rest of the Volvo, these guys are all going to have nervous breakdowns.
Good stuff. Well, we talked about that you need to be psychologically strong in all this. Confidence game. Wow, what a fascinating day. So that's more Please Get Out of the Ways from Rob Greenhalgh and Jules Salter. That's a definite get out of my way.
Well, it's all on here though, Martin, because although Abu Dhabi are ahead, Groupama to windward and behind, they have got clear wind, and it's a matter of what boat's pushing forward. But it's Groupama. Groupama have been passed by Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure if they are on the ley line to the finish or not. We'll have a bit of a look. Gee, it looks light up towards that top mark. But Groupama.
Now, what we're hearing also in this incredible race of change is that because it's gone soft, because of the conditions, and it's something that we know in the Volvo Ocean Race we have to do, this race is going to end at the next mark. So there's a speedboat out there. They're saying, please get out of the way. It's where we want to be. And they're not happy about that. But we understand that mark up there now is going to be the finish. So at the moment, Justin Slattery puts a thumb up as he sees that speedboat turn away. Abu Dhabi are in the lead. It's not that far. The finish is coming up because we've had the wind has died out on the race. And so they're going to shift the finish in, which will fall within the time frame. We've been going now for an hour and 7 minutes.
Abu Dhabi,
an hour of 7 minutes of astonishing racing. Is it over yet, Pete?
Well, Abu Dhabi are getting stronger and stronger here. They've come up. They've gauged up towards Groupama. And that meant that Groupama, their ability to speed build, get the bow down and build speed is reducing. To the extent that Groupama are out of there, they've been forced to tack away. They were getting too much turbulent wind. So they foil up the code zeros, they roll them up, they tack the boat, and then they pull the sail out again to get the power. And I would expect Abu Dhabi to do the same. Yes, Groupama have tacked, and out comes the sail. Abu Dhabi have tacked, but look how expensive the tack is. My goodness. And can they speed build? It's very light and funky. Martin, I got a feel there could be a few more twists in this one. Jerry, looking at out on the water, they're going up towards the finish, but the tacks are expensive. The boats that are behind, are they, and I'm talking about PUMA and Camper, does this bring them back into the game?
100%, Peter. You're if they're still on a nice lifted board with pressure, there is pressure building on Abu Dhabi and Groupama, but it'll be a much more compressed race by the time they get bow to bow.
And of course, Abu Dhabi and Groupama, we've seen how expensive tacking is. When they tack to leeward or tack with Camper and PUMA, it could bring the boats back together. This one's not over. I think we've got a pretty exciting next few minutes up to the finish.
Well, this has been the most extraordinary race, and I wish I was better at sums because I'm really struggling to get my head around what this is going to do to the points table, because we don't even know who's going to finish where. Look at Camper right back in the frame again. This is ridiculous. How extraordinary this whole race has been, and Camper hidden there by Groupama. So it does look at this stage, well, I think the battle now is between, am I right here, more between third and fourth?
Yeah, I think
these two. I think it does look like Abu Dhabi have got this. What are you seeing there, Jerry? Hard for us to gauge here.
Yeah, no, Martin, you're right on. Abu Dhabi is in a strong position, so it looks, with the pressure that's on the course right now, Abu Dhabi should tack in front of Groupama and lead them back to the line. The question is there enough gauge for PUMA to cash that in at boat speed and beat Camper?
Well, it's an intriguing scenario here. It's not being played out at the speeds that we normally associate with these boats, but it's been utterly absorbing. And I'll see. We'll see if we can get somebody who's better at maths than me to give us a little bit of a resume before we go off the air.
Back to the action here.
We've only got 5 more minutes here.
Martin, here they go. So now Groupama tacking. and I would expect to see Abu Dhabi come across. They'll put themselves between Groupama and the finishing line, and then they will tack. So for first and second, it's very close, and then it's very close between Camper and Puma as well, where they do these unusual manoeuvres with the code zeros as they're using them upwind. So Abu Dhabi have tacked to windward of Groupama, putting turbulent wind back onto the trailing boat. With both boats tacking where they did, that has meant that Puma have actually had to clear their wind.
Which they have.
So they've tacked away.
You just see them in the right-hand side of the picture. They're just unfurling again on port tack.
So the game is who can do the least amount of tacks before the finishing line, and you'll benefit from that because the price of tacking is so costly. So with Puma having to tack away, because Puma and Camper were very close together, that probably opens up a little opportunity for Camper to keep their wind clear, to find a lane. But Abu Dhabi, it's all about Abu Dhabi at the moment. As we look, not far to go, we're heading up towards the finish. Shortened course.
Well, the shortened course forced on the race officials by the air going, by the wind going so light. And Jerry, paint a picture for us from where you are.
Well, right now Camper is not laying the finish line, so Puma is taking one shot to get up to weather and get a good lay line and take one more shot at passing them. It's very light out where they've got the finish line, so this race is definitely not over.
Well, look at this. I think the most significant part of that picture we're looking at now is on the left-hand side. EK Martinez, that penalty, a mistake, that sort of resolved that they resolved not to do.
It's the finish.
That is the finish boat there.
So for Abu Dhabi, they will be happy to see the finish boat. There has been a shortened course, so the rib showing the finishing line. Abu Dhabi lead Camper. Then it's very close between Puma and Camper. Camper were bounced by Groupama tacking to windward of them. But then it's a matter for Camper, if they can, for Puma, if they can get into a lane of pressure in that windward position, they could well sail round Camper.
Right now, Peter, Camper is getting more pressure offshore, and they appear to be in little lift, so they look very strong for third right now.
Okay, so Camper, a bit more pressure. Probably Jerry also, if they can do one less tack than Puma, that will pay out for Camper.
Yeah, Puma looks like Puma will lay the lay line quite easily. But right now, Camper's very strong for third, and honestly, Senya and Puma look like they may be head-to-head.
Oh, wow. So there we go.
Well,
another
our eyes on the water. Jerry Kirby, thanks for that. This is Ian Walker, still that look of concentration. He's heading for the line now.
So Abu Dhabi come from behind victory. Beautiful start. They got rolled by Telefónica, but Ian Walker and his team have hung in there to take out the Miami In-Port Race. A fascinating day's racing. A pleased team. Adil Khalid congratulates his skipper, Martin. That was at times a lolly scramble,
well, now look
but
at
with
this.
Lots of drama.
And there's still drama to unfold yet. Groupama now heading for second place. They've got some good pace on. Camper just tacking to get that one more move in. Jerry, you're seeing this better than we are. We're watching Groupama going across the line. They're going to take second place. They're going to take 5 points. That's going to take them 4 points closer to the overall race leader Telefónica, who, as far as these guys are concerned, are in the perfect place, last in the fleet. But this is a great second spot for Groupama. Again, Constantine is a scoreboard, and it's also going to be helped if Camper now coming around, if they can sneak in and get that third spot. They'll be tacking soon. Right, we've got Groupama across the line. Jerry, what's happening out there?
Well, it really depends on how well Camper does a speed build. Puma has lots of speed, and Camper has to go into a very costly tack right now, so it'll be close with those two. And Mike Sanderson has done a great job out here on the left.
On board now. We're on board with camper, and the guys are grinding in. Look at PUMA coming up behind them. This is so tight now.
Wow, look at the difference in speed. So Camper can compete. There's only a few metres to go to the line. Camper are dead in the water. PUMA are coming at pace. Can PUMA roll round Camper? In they come. PUMA coming to leeward of Camper. And up goes the
flag. It's a protest for that.
The windward boat required to keep clear as PUMA comes charging through to leeward of Camper. PUMA are going to do the business. They've sailed through to leeward of Camper, and Camper, that tack on the line, very costly. Kenny Reid comes at Camper through their leeward side and through the line to take third place here in Miami for the American team. Well Camper comes through to take fourth.
And there, this is extraordinary. Now, what's going to happen? What happened with the protest there? Because if there's a protest, was the protest green flag? Because if it isn't, does Camper have to do a penalty turn? Because that would let Sanya in. That would put PUMA. Well, we haven't seen where we are with that one. The flag's up. Well, we're just not quite sure what's going on here at the moment, because here comes Sanya. They're going to take it ahead of Telefónica. Now that is really concertina, this scoreboard, because if I'm doing my sums right, I think that puts Camper and PUMA dead level, with Groupama closing up on Telefónica. Telefónica will be coming in last year and get just the 1 point. So if I've got my sums right, I think that it is now a tie for third place between Camper and PUMA.
And if there's a tie, Martin, it goes back to this race. So it'll actually be PUMA ahead of Camper if your numbers are correct.
Well, I wouldn't bet the house on them, that's for sure. What an extraordinary race. So that's Tiger in the middle there. He's first Chinese sailor in this race, and Mike Sanderson will be thrilled with that. And well, here's Telefónica still battling their way up the course, and I wonder. I think the only issue left at the moment is whether we didn't see the result of the protest when he flew that red flag. Well, can he withdraw it? Because it would be in his interest to withdraw it.
I would assume that it was green flag, because if it had been
he'd have to have taken it by now.
Chris Nicholson and the Camper team would have taken the penalty. But what a bizarre day.
That's the most bizarre day. Well, talk about bizarre. Jerry, out on the water, your little summing up of this. Ever seen anything quite so bizarre?
Yeah, this is reminiscent of about 10 races I've seen, but you'd have to take them all together. You know, it was a lot of fun. All these teams did a great job boat handling and fighting to come back.
Yeah, it's well, these guys will be hurting after that, because, well, I mean, they were looking really, really strong early in the piece. Even after they'd been rolled, they were still looking strong. And then the incident that everybody, of course, will remember will be that thumping when they hit the mark. Okay, Ian Walker, the victorious Ian Walker. Are you hearing us there, Ian? No, he hasn't got the headset on yet. Okay, we'll come back if we can get on him. He's looking a little bit dazed more than anything else, and he's got to have a headset so we can talk to him. Okay, well, hopefully that'll be coming to him in a second, and he was just looking almost shell-shocked, wasn't he,
Well, it's one of those races, Martin, where you'd feel like you've been through 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, because tough race mentally for the team.
Okay, Ian, are you hearing us now?
Yes, I can hear you there, Martin.
Well, we were just saying, the victorious Ian Walker, to be really honest, mate, we were looking at you, looked a bit shell-shocked.
Well, yeah, that was a pretty strange race, and Telefónica first run the mark, and we made a mistake on the first run. Groupama really sailed the first half of the race perfectly, but I have to say our crew work got us back in the race. We got the 0 up sooner, and that's what got us in the lead. And Jules and Rob held their nerve with the tactics.
Okay, how does it feel?
Well, it feels great. We've had a tough time. With the last few legs, we've had a very, very tough time. The last In-Port race, we had no training time. We made a special point. We were going to come here, do 2 full days training, get ready for this race, and we wanted to show to the world that Abu Dhabi hasn't given up. We've got a strong spirit, we're determined, and it always feels good to win a race.
Well, you certainly made that quite clear today. What was the difference, you think? Because was it just that the training that you've done, or is it within the spirit of the team to prove that point?
Well, I think you know, we made a good start, which is always a good help, and I think for sure our crew work was very, very slick today, and that makes the difference. And you can't expect your crew work to be good unless you train. And so, you know, we did 2 good days training, and the lads were sharp, and I think the conditions are good for our boat. The boat likes flatter water, and it's a very good day. It's a very good day, especially because my football club got promoted as well. So there must have been a good vibe around today.
Oh, Ian Walker, congratulations. I think everybody's thrilled for you. Brilliant piece of sailing, and thanks for talking to us.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
Oh, good stuff. That's just excellent. And I mean, we were wondering who would you put your money on at the well, here we are. Here's the scores, right. Oh, so the big news here has got to be, let me see, but Ken Reid, Frank Camas, well, so the 5 points that they get, and I think that you will find that the 4 and the 3 there, 4 and the 3, well, I mean, that's just about, I think that's going to put them, well, we'll see, we're on the overall leaderboard. Somebody will be a bit sharper than me on this one. There we go. Well, now, yeah. Not quite. 152 to 151 separates 3rd and 4th. Frank Camas climbing into Iker Martinez's lead. They were last at the top. The Team Telefónica overall race leader trail last into this PortMiami In-Port Race. Pete, a very quick summation from you.
Well, again, the drama continues, and it just sets this race up for a fantastic leg from Miami over to Lisbon starting tomorrow, and let the drama continue, Martin.
Okay, Jerry Kirby, a quick summation from you.
It was a great race, and it really shows that you can't ever give up on whether it's an inshore race or an offshore leg. You've got to keep fighting, and you know that finish by PUMA was spectacular, and I got to give it to Ian Walker. You know, those guys have had some tough breaks in this race, and he comes out and sails a beautiful race, and congratulations to those guys.
That's absolutely epic, and well, they call the Volvo Ocean Race life at the extreme. It is. It's extremely interesting, and maybe it needs a new logo now, and it is quite simply this: it ain't over till it's over, and this race is far from over. From the PortMiami In-Port Race and from the EF Language Centre, where we've been broadcasting from here in Miami, we're looking forward enormously to bringing you the start of Leg 7 tomorrow. What a little prelude this has been to what lies ahead in the Atlantic. This race is not over. It is destined to be enormously exciting. Today proved that quite conclusively. And you just get taken on this continuous emotional roller coaster. Whichever team you're supporting, you never know quite who's going to come up with the goods. Today it was these guys on Abu Dhabi. Determined is what they are. Determined is what Ian Walker has said they are going to continue to be. And you really can't argue with that. Azam. It's a fantastic display by these people on this boat. So until tomorrow, more excitement, more drama, I'm sure, here in Miami, in the Sunshine State of Florida. From the Volvo Ocean Race, from all of us here, a very good afternoon wherever you are.